Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to a webinar where we will be going through what our full stack bootcamp is about, right? So I'm Akhil Bodu. I'm COO at Zaio, and Zaio is essentially a coding school. We're on a mission to train 100,000 developers within the next 5 years. So if you're joining this webinar, thank you so much for being here and helping us achieve our milestone. So in today's webinar, we have a lot of excited things planned. I'm really excited to go through today's webinar. So obviously we'll be talking about full stack bootcamp, what it entails, and how exactly we can actually help you achieve your goal. Because if you're joining this webinar, it means that you're either interested in exploring a new career prospect, or you want to improve your current career position. You want to earn a better income. You want to improve your living standard. Maybe you want to improve your work environment. Maybe you want to do more remote work, right? So all those kind of things, we'll be talking about it in this webinar. I think I'm super excited to also introduce you all to Johan, who's actually my colleague. He's an instructor at Zaio, and he's currently been instructing, been an instructor for a couple of our programs. Hey, Johan, how's it going? I'm not sure, cannot hear you. Is it a technical issue?
There we go.
There we go. Awesome. How's it going? How are you?
Good. Thanks, man.
Awesome. So, Johan, I just want you to maybe just give like a quick introduction of yourself, and and then eventually we'll get to the FAQs.
Sure. How's everybody? My name's Johan. I'm the lead instructor for the full stack developer bootcamps. And yeah, I also tutor with the tutors on the sideline there. So I'm really hoping to see a bunch of you join the sessions and join Zaio.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Johan. So in addition to this, we also have something excited planned. One of our students who's actually part of our boot camps is actually going to also be, we're actually going to be chatting to her, Sego. Right before this, actually, I spoke to Harjot, who's actually my co-founder, and he's our CMO, and he mentioned that he basically said that Sego, just be truthful, just talk about your experience. We're not trying to prove anything to anyone. You just be genuine in your experience. So I'm super excited to hear what Sego has to say and what her experience has been. So that's going to be really exciting. And then also we have something interesting planned at the end of the bootcamp. So we are in the works of preparing for a new stream. So I'm really excited to see what people are going to have to say about it. Also, a special shout out to Asif, who's in the chat as well. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat, and we will hopefully address those questions. Nothing is more important to us than those questions, right? That's why we're doing this webinar, so we can hear from you. So please tell us whatever you have to say, right? Awesome. So let us actually let me actually walk you through. Let us start off by talking about a little bit about the full stack web development bootcamp, right? Before we actually jump into the FAQs, right? So guys, look, the reason why we created this bootcamp, the reason why we created Zaio is because there's a huge shortage of good quality technical talent, right? At any given point in South Africa, there are 200,000 tech roles that are actually unfilled, which means that there are job opportunities, right? We just need good quality talent. And that is why we created Zaio, so that we can create good quality talent who can actually enter industry, and people who can start from no coding experience to actually building real applications. If somebody asks you to build Uber for babysitters, you will have the skills to actually build a real application, and you'll be able to build a portfolio and eventually get a job. And that is something that that we pride ourselves in. Like, graduates from Zaio have ended up going and working at Yoko. And I think nothing matters more to us than actually seeing our learners succeed. That is our biggest success factor. We want our learners to succeed in industry. So from the get-go, this bootcamp has been designed in such a way that you are preparing to get that job, right? So you're building real-world applications throughout the whole project, throughout the whole program. You're mastering the programming fundamentals. You're also learning how to be collaborative in your work, right? Because you're going to be learning in a closed group of individuals, right? So normally each cohort that we take in, we're talking about 40, 50 candidates per cohort, so we have a team of tutors who will then be able to assist you on Discord if ever you're stuck with anything. And I think one of the things we pride ourselves in is actually career support, right? From the get-go, bi-weekly, every 2 weeks, right? You'll actually be doing interview readiness sessions, all right? These interview readiness sessions are basically like interacting with our tutors to understand more about, what it'll be like to actually apply for a real interview, right? So also we got Yazid, our head of growth, in the chat too. So please feel free to ask any questions. Hey, Yazid, how's it going? Hope you're good. And also we have some of our consultants over here, people you've probably interacted with before. So we got Abby around as well. Awesome. So just at a high level, the main concepts that you'll be learning in full stack web development is pretty much around HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So these are the fundamentals. And when you're learning these fundamentals, you're learning this actually by building real applications. So we're talking about Tesla, Netflix, YouTube homepage, Twitter, a Google clone, a Google Keep clone. So these real world applications is what will give you a lot of confidence. That is one of the reasons why we've had people come from no coding experience to actually building real applications with so much confidence, because nothing boosts your self-esteem as much as building something real. And that whole process of actually going through bugs, struggling, and then coming out on the other side by building something real is extremely satisfying. I think that's one of the things that I love about this whole field. Just for some context, by the way, I'm a UCT graduate, right? And I'm actually a front-end developer, right? I love to do front-end stuff. I'm very passionate about building applications in React.js, right? And I've also worked with mobile applications with React Native, right? So that is also something that you'll be covering in this full stack bootcamp. We're talking about React.js for front end, and you'll be building like the Airbnb clone, the Amazon clone. You'll also be building a tic-tac-toe game, right? Which is actually one of my favorite things that I built. So I'm super excited. If you guys get to experience this course, it's really cool. We've added sound effects and done really cool things with that application, right? Then eventually you're going to learn Node.js for backend, right? So that's where you'll basically be learning about REST APIs, basically database. How do you build secure endpoints, so that your application works front end to back end in a robust manner, right? So you'll be learning about various ways to make a secure, robust backend application. Because remember, like the front end is mainly about how things look in the application, like in the web application, like what the button looks like, what the experience of the page looks like. And backend is where we're talking about the logic, right? So if you click a button, something has to happen, right? You have to save data in a database so that you can use that data later, right? So that's where backend comes in. So the separation of concerns makes applications a lot more scalable. So these are some of the things we keep in mind, like things like testing. We make you robust testers while you're going through your journey. You're constantly testing the applications you're building, and eventually you'll be able to build like an application end to end. And I think that's one of the, like, you'll be surprised at how much you have accomplished. And I'm really excited to actually chat to Sego on that, right? And then once you've built the full stack application, so front end and back end, the next part of the curriculum is to actually build a capstone project, right? So this is where you're going to basically build an application end to end, right? And there will be elements of AI as well, because in this day and age, you need to be an AI developer, meaning that you need to know how to use ChatGPT. You need to use various tools to fast track and improve your development, right? And one of the things that will differentiate you from any other developer or any other kind of bootcamp is your problem solving abilities. And that is what Zaio will really push you. We will push you to the point where you'll be extremely confident in your abilities with problem solving. That's one of the things, like, people ask us the question, hey, like, why, is there any need of won't developers be replaced by AI? Maybe down the line, there's still a lot of time for that, but problem solvers are the ones that are going to thrive in this AI age, right? If you know how to solve problems, you will be able to build solutions using AI. So that is why the full stack project will include an AI element as well, so that you are becoming a developer in this AI age. And then, of course, we're going to be talking about, you'll be learning about data structures and algorithms, and this is what I mean by problem solving. Nothing tests your problem solving abilities better than doing data structures and algorithms. Data structures and algorithms are the best way to push you to your limits of problem solving. Like it is challenging, you know, and that's why we have a lot of support structures in place. We've got an AI assistant in case you don't want to interact with anyone. But if you feel like you want to interact with tutors, if you feel like you want to interact with your colleagues, you know, that is something that you'll actually be able to do as well, right? Through our Discord community. And also, since you will be having every 2 weeks, you'll be having a session with tutors, that'll really help you have that human support as well. You know, like, yes, we're in this AI age and everything, but the human element, the human touch is something that will never go, right? And that is something that we value a lot. Okay. I think just another important thing is, with all this structure, the way we've designed this structure is actually driven by what the industry needs, right? So we've done a study with a couple of recruiters in South Africa, and that is all the results that we gathered from the study is what informed the creation of this whole curriculum and this whole program, right? So everything that you're doing, like from day one, is preparing you for the job industry, right? I think that is one of the things that we pride ourselves in, because one of the biggest problems with university is that you're learning all these things, but you don't know how useful it is actually in industry, right? Sweet. So I think let us actually, so that covers quite a bit around the structure and the curriculum. I think one of the key outcomes, obviously, is that you will have a job. Like, that is our goal, right? We want to get you to a position where you can build your own applications. You can make revenue. You can make income with your skills, you know. So even if you're doing a current job, you know, this is something that you can also pursue, you know, and hopefully at the end of it, you will be able to earn a strong revenue, right? And we're a totally tech-driven platform. We have a whole bunch of really cool features, like an AI assistant, a calendar feature where you can actually see a color-coded calendar to review your own performance. And that is actually what we will use throughout the journey to refer your profile to recruiters. All right. So I think I'm really excited to actually have Johan over here so that he can answer some of the most frequently asked questions. So I will basically be like a learner, you know, like a potential learner that comes to Zaio. And Johan, I want you to basically answer some of the most frequently asked questions that we have. All right.
Cool.
We're doing
That sounds
we're doing a little bit of a simulation right now, you know. All right, sweet. So
cool.
maybe let's start off with what are, like, you know, the entry requirements? Do we need to know like math and stuff, or any previous knowledge or something?
You know, a little bit of math always helps, Akil. But I think at least you know, looking from a matric perspective, you're going to need matric. And other than that, you know, I think really we teach you everything else, as long as you know how to copy and paste, and keep the space bar. You know, you're pretty good to go. The rest we teach you in the courses. We teach you how to set up the systems. We teach you everything else you need to know to become a developer. So really, all you need to know is the basics of handling a keyboard, the basics of operating a desktop, and yeah, that's really it.
Yeah, and also, guys, if you feel like, you know, you're not too confident with your literacy abilities, like your computer digital literacy abilities, we actually have a free course on our platform where you can actually go and just check it out and just learn, you know, make sure that you know how to do the basic things on a computer, because there's no harm in just getting up to speed with that. Yeah. So maybe just walk us through a little bit about what the format has been, right? You know, like the schedule, you know, like live classes and whatnot.
Cool. Okay. So, in general, the classes or the course goes on for roughly around 24 to 26 weeks, I believe. And we do 2 live sessions for the 12 weeks for the first 12 weeks, and thereafter we go over to 1 session a week for the next 12 weeks or the next 14 weeks after that. And the 1 session we do in the morning, so that accommodates for those that are able to do the classes in the morning. And then we've also got the evening sessions, which obviously assists all of those that, you know, have a full-time job and can't join the morning sessions. So that's really, I think, a big benefit from the course when we look at the availability or the flexibility around that. And I must say, with the tutors and all of the support in between, for those that always need the assistance or do need assistance during the course, when we're not on the live sessions, they are there during the day, they are there during the evening sometimes as well, as I believe. And that's all on Discord, so it's a very easy pop a message on a platform and you get that assistance. So from a flexibility perspective, Akil, I think really, we're there to assist, we're there to teach.
Yeah, man, I think that is one of the things I really like about like the strategy and approach we've taken, right? Where there is an element of flexibility because life happens, especially maybe we have individuals who might join the boot camp who are already doing some other kind of work,
Yeah.
but we have like predetermined tasks that you have to complete on a daily basis. And then, like Johan said, if ever there's any questions, like don't hesitate, you can ask on the group. And also we have a way of like getting students to also interact, so all students try to help one another as well. And I think in the previous webinar we had a student who actually made really good friends, who became really good friends with one of the other learners in the bootcamp. And in the last webinar, he said things like, just watch me, guys. I'm going to build a real application and I'm going to become like, a really successful entrepreneur. So you never know what kind of interactions you might get through that Discord community. It's like there's a lot of merit and power in that,
Yeah, and Akil, that same student, sorry, but that same student, he's actually started a AI project now on the sideline, to look at the stock markets. So and that's all from learning within 6 months, getting to Python, and all of a sudden he's jumped into this project, which I believe he's doing really well at learning. And that's purely within 6 months, which is amazing.
That is like I have no words, man. Like I'm really this is why we do Zaio. Like this is why we grind on this, every day. It's because we want to see our learners succeed, so man, that makes me so happy, and I'm really keen to see what more things students do like post boot camps,
For sure.
Dude, that's crazy. That's actually crazy. All right, let's see. Like the next question I can see here is what exactly is the learning experience like, things like methodologies, what kind of methodologies do we go about, like, I know there's a project driven element, so you can expand on that a bit.
Yeah, so always, we cover some fundamentals in the beginning of each new project, just to get the students off the ground, explain how everything works, what it does, etc. And then we start working towards a project, and there's always a project. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we've got about 6 or 7 projects during the entire course, and that's purely only what is on the platform. Okay, so from a Google Classroom where I host the classes, I give additional assignments. We do some projects during our sessions as well, where they're shorter projects. But I think when the students walk out, they've probably got about 10 to 15 projects done and dusted under their belt for their portfolio. So it's always project driven. We work towards something and we cover all the fundamentals during that process.
No, that sounds amazing. So just for a little bit of context, right? Johan mentioned Google Classroom and he mentioned like stuff that's on the platform, right? So I just want to paint a little bit of a picture for everyone. So basically we have a whole bunch of content that's on the platform that forms your daily tasks, right? So we're talking about things like videos, coding challenges, MCQ questions. These are the things that you're going to be doing on a daily. But then the magic happens when once you've gone through that material, you go for a live class with Johan, right? And that's where you'll be able to put whatever you've learned to practice, and you'll be able to ask Johan questions as well as other members in the team, right? And that's where like we try to make our boot camps, like, every boot camp might have a few discrepancies in terms of depending on how the cohort is, right? So that's where we actually add more challenges and more assignments onto our Google Classroom, right? And that's basically how we're able to have a combination of things that are actually on the product, additional things on the classroom, so that we leave no stone unturned. All right. Cool. I think maybe let's talk a little more about like my favorite thing, which is support. Anything that you'd like to add on that?
Oh wow. Yeah, there's a lot on support. So personally, if we look at Discord, which I think is one of the biggest support platforms we have, I see questions fly in every day from various different students. And I think the amazing part about having Discord there is that, sure, we've got the tutors there on standby. I believe they do sessions, they take the bookings with students, so a student can contact them on they've got a Calendly link. They make a booking with the tutor, and they schedule an hour. And then the tutor will assist them, or the teaching assistant will assist them through the problems they have. And most of the time it gets resolved there. If it doesn't get resolved there, or if they needed some more time, I myself also assist the students when they send me a little message on Discord. We'll jump on a session and we'll work through the problem, until we resolve it. So there's that part of it as well. But I think the biggest part that's amazing about Discord is how the students assist each other as well. It's a community. And obviously for those that really do well, or those that excel in the course, they are also motivated, go and assist the others. And this obviously just leads to the students being more, how can I say, efficient, and also noticed. When it comes to all of those things for the internships and all of that, they stand out. So they really do give that a shot. But I think the support overall, there's always support whenever you need it. We're there.
Yeah, awesome. No, I love that. I think one of my favorite things about the live sessions, right? Actually, well, when I say live sessions, I mean like the one-on-one tutor sessions, is that it's a great way to like pick a brain of a tutor. I think beyond just the question that you're struggling with, it's like you can ask them more questions, and I think that's such a great way to build networks and build a nice relationship with people that are very, very experienced. I think that's one of the things I admire about support. Cool. So I think now we can actually maybe we can take a few questions from the chat, right? Or we can move on and actually bring Tsego into the room, and maybe we can ask her, introduce her, ask her some questions, and then we can do the questions. So this is a question. What's the main difference between self-paced and bootcamp, right? Because the curriculum is the same, according to me. That's a great question, right? So look, main difference is in the name itself, right? Self-paced is basically a program where you're learning on your own, and normally this could take between 8 to 10 months, right? 8 to 12 months, depending on how committed you are, right? And there's certain elements of bootcamp that would be lacking in self-paced. Some of those things include, like, what Johan mentioned, which is the Discord community. When you're doing bootcamp, you actually have a closed group of learners, right? Where you have 40 or 50 other learners who you're learning with. You get to do one-on-one tutor support sessions with tutors. You get to attend live classes with really experienced people like Johan. And you also get to make friends through the process, throughout the whole journey. And one of the biggest things about the bootcamp is, because it is happening in a more structured environment, it is limited to 6 months, right? So within 6 months, you will be done with it, right? And the biggest thing is getting the job placement, right? Like, we will do our best to get you into a technical interview, right? The next question here is, what is most needed language in the workplace now compared to previous years? Johan, do you want to take that one?
I'm assuming we're looking at a programming language there, and I would say, if we're looking at JavaScript is huge. From an enterprise perspective, we definitely say React. React is such a widely used library. If we think of this extension of JavaScript, because remember, that's still part of JavaScript. So if we have to bundle it all together, back end, front end, it's going to be JavaScript. It's going to be used a lot. And then I have to side it with Python over there. Okay, so Python is also a widely used language, and it is growing. With AI and machine learning, it is just climbing up that ladder. And we've got those in the bootcamp. Both of those are hugely covered in the bootcamp. But definitely, yes, those two, JavaScript and Python.
Yeah, I think just adding on to that, it's like, if ever you learn JavaScript and then you learn Python, once you learn a programming language, it's very easy to migrate into a new language, right? Because you're learning, the only difference between one language and the other is just the syntax, right? The problem solving, concepts like variables. We're dealing with arrays, lists. Maybe in Python it's called lists, right? So those are the kind of differences, discrepancies you'll have between different languages, right? So that should never be a barrier for you. Like, you should always, obviously we're teaching what's in demand, but then you will be able to easily jump into other languages. Okay. This is another question here. What would be the average salary for the first job interview? Maybe what average past students have earned, right? So look, this really depends, on different companies that you're going to, right? Some learners, like, initially they have started off with basic minimum wage. We're talking about maybe 5K. Some learners have started off with 15K, per month. But I think on average, what's actually happening in the industry is it should be between around 15 to 20K for a junior developer, right? So I'm talking in rands, right? 15 to 20,000 rands, and this is per month, right? So that's the average salary, right? So this one is, I missed out on the part where you guys accommodate people who are working. How can one catch up in class, right? Johan, do you want to take that one?
Sure. So all of the live sessions are recorded. I upload those all on Google Classroom as well. So once a session is done with the live session, it takes about 20 minutes to render the video, and then they're uploaded straight away with some notes as well. So I think if you have fallen behind a little bit on the live sessions or the projects and the assistance they're on, and we do tips and tricks in between as well. You never miss out on that. That's all on recordings for you to go and have a look at.
And if you're ever stuck, support.
Yes.
Okay. So how much does one pay for the bootcamp, right? So basically, we have 3 different payment methods, right? The first payment method is upfront. For upfront, it's 25,500 rands, right? You can also go with installments. So we basically have 13,000 rands for the first month and then 13,000 rands for the second month. So it's a 2-month installment. And in case, upfront is not working, installment is not working, we found a way to actually give you an option to do financing, right? So we're actually partnered with Manati, who basically helps students with financing. And you can start off by paying as little as 500 rands a month, right? And actually go through the entire program. And while you're learning, you're actually paying off the installment, right? So those are the 3 main options. We're trying our best, to make it open to all. So the journey is there. People have done this journey. People have gotten jobs. We've tried our best to minimize it to 500 rands a month. Like, guys, just join, Okay. So being completely new to any sort of coding, how should I go about picking between backend, front end, full stack, or does it not matter? Johan, do you want to take that one?
You know what, Michelle, I think in all honesty, just go full stack. Starting with one side, I personally, like Akil said, he loves the front end. I personally absolutely love the back end of a website. I love everything that happens there. But in all honesty, you're going to do it anyway. Okay, as a developer, you are going to learn front end, you are going to learn back end. You might as well start off with an overall view of having that full stack experience, and then you start specializing. If you want to specialize to become a front end developer, you might realize you're absolutely horrible at back end, or absolutely horrible at front end, or you don't like it. Then that's your call. But I would say start off with a full stack, and you get the whole feel for it.
Yeah, dude, just adding on to that, something interesting. So one of my favorite learners that have gone through our programs, his name is Jonas, right? So Jonas actually initially started off with a 12K salary, and he was doing front end stuff, okay? And it was 12K, and then like within 2 months, it bumped up to 15K a month. And he was doing front end, and he loved front end, right? Then like 2 years later, he got accepted into this job at Yoko, right? Not Yoko, sorry, Yo-Yo, right? At Yo-Yo. And he was earning about 33,000 rands a month, right? And at that point, he was like, yeah, I'm still doing front end. Okay. And I was like, cool, that's awesome, right? Then I think a year later, he like, we got in touch again. I'm still in touch with him. And he's like, he was asking, like, we help our students negotiate, right? So he was asking us about like, these guys are offering him an upgrade. Like, I think it was about 70K, 80K a month, right? And I was like, dude, what are you doing exactly? Like, what skills are you putting into practice right now? And he said he's doing cloud, right? He's like, within that 1 year, he was like, dude, like, I fell in love with backend. I started really doing, I started enjoying doing a lot of backend work, and then obviously he got into management, and then he started taking care of cloud and DevOps. And I think he was working on a really big program. I think it's called it's like something to do with Vodacom, right? I think it's eBucks or something like that. I'm not sure, but he was like responsible for pushing those changes into production. So I was mind blown. But yeah, anyways,
you get to pick it eventually. So
yeah, I think that's one of the things I love about software, right? You jump into one field, and then if you're feeling like monotonous and it's getting boring, there's always so much to learn. Like, it doesn't end, and it's very interesting. And as you're learning, like, you get paid more, so it's like
I've been doing this for 14 years, and I say, you know what, I still learn every single day. And it's with technology's growth, and like you said as well now, Akil, specifically if you're looking at the capabilities of a person, and the growing field, it's always growing. So if you get in now, it saves you that time. For if you're going to get in 5 years, you're going to be 5 years behind from where we are now. So if you get in now, within 5 years, you're going to have 5 years worth of experience. So then all of a sudden now something new comes out, and you're going to be first on that bandwagon, and that can change your financial situation. It turns it upside down. Okay, it can change your world, literally. I've seen it happen.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't agree more. It is life changing, literally, like career satisfaction wise, and also like money wise. It's great, right? All right, sweet. So guys, we will be taking more questions shortly, but I have kept Sego waiting, and I want to bring Sego over here. Sego, please come in. We'd love to introduce you to everyone and have a conversation with you.
Oh, hi, Akil.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, thanks. And yourself?
I'm amazing. I'm amazing. Thank you so much for joining the webinar today. How are you doing today? How's everything? How's the learning going?
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm good. The learning is going good so far. And yeah, we keep pushing, we keep moving.
Awesome. So, Sego, maybe give us a little bit of an introduction of yourself, so that people know who is Sego and like what is she doing here,
Definitely. Okay, so Akil, my name is Teho, full name, Teho Fatso Motsonyane, and I'm an aspiring full stack web developer. And I was part of the January cohort. My 6 months is almost up, which is quite sad. And yeah, I wasn't always interested in web development. Actually, by profession, I'm a fashion designer. But then after fashion designing, yeah.
Yeah.
But then after fashion designing, I actually changed careers to teaching. And then from teaching, that is when I discovered web development and I got interested in it. So yeah, great to meet everyone.
What an amazing story, right? I think this just goes on to show, guys, that if you follow your passions, that's what matters. You got to do what keeps things interesting for you. So maybe tell us about, how did you what attracted you about web development?
Okay. So firstly, I was introduced to web development while doing a short HTML course because I wanted to know what it was about. And I was also exploring my different interests. So that's how I got introduced to it. And then that's when the thoughts started coming of maybe I can do this. Maybe I can become a web developer. But after that, I delved deeper into web development. And then I finally took the decision that if I'm going to do this, then I really want to do it. And hence, I discovered Zaio along the way. And yeah, here we are.
No, that's amazing. Like, what an exciting journey it's been, and maybe tell us, what is it that like every day. So every day you're learning on Zaio so far. Like, for the past 6 months, you've been working hard, I'm pretty sure, but I'm sure you've also had some challenges along the road while learning web development. Like, now your program is almost coming to an end. Maybe just paint a picture of some of those challenges that you experienced on your journey to learning web development.
Of course. So I was a beginner coming into web development, so the learning curve was quite steep. And also going along with the program, I had a lot of trouble trying to retain the information that I was learning because it's quite a
Mm.
fast-paced program. So I really had to sit down with myself and try to think of different study methods that I could implement that would work for me. And that has helped me along the way. But then another thing that I've also been challenged with was imposter syndrome. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
definitely when the
I think
going
I think
gets tough, yeah.
Yeah, no, no, no. I think the imposter syndrome, like I couldn't agree more with you on that because I'll tell you my experience of imposter syndrome, right? I think it was actually when I was doing my degree at UCT, right? So, firstly, the things that we're learning at UCT, it felt like when am I ever going to use this in industry, right? Now, on top of that, we I think we just completed like a test. We did like a Python test, and that like my everybody else who was coming for the test found it so easy, and that's because in their school they actually did Python, so they had some kind of previous experience with programming. They did Java actually in schools, and then these are the people that were doing computer science. And I remember sitting at UCT on the jammy stairs, and I was like, man, is this for me? Like I think that what I'm trying to say here is that it does get hard. It does get really hard. Like when you're going on this journey, you will face situations where you're just like, maybe this is not for me, right? But then again, you're gonna fix that bug, and once you fix that bug, maybe you're gonna have another coffee and you're gonna fix another bug, and like that, each time you're fixing a bug, it's extremely satisfying. You know, no. So thank you so much for that, Sego. I think the imposter syndrome is definitely a real problem. So we talked about the challenges, right? Tell us some good stuff. Like what are the things that you think like you could share with people to say that, guys, like you know how like initially when you discover that like web development is really good, it's really fun. What are the things that you tell people? It's like, guys, you guys got to try, that thing where you're like, you got to try this thing. So what is it that made things exciting for you with web development?
Overcoming those challenges. Most definitely, when you are starting with a project and you come across a challenge that you can't solve, working through it, and at the end of the day, being able to overcome that challenge, that feeling is quite indescribable. So, that's one of the most exciting things about web development. And also, it's quite mentally stimulating. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I love about it.
So maybe you can tell us, like, so far in the boot camp. I think you've built quite a few projects, right? What's your favorite project that you worked on?
Oh, most definitely the Airbnb clone.
Really?
I yes,
Okay,
yes,
okay.
I really enjoyed the Airbnb clone because I'm actually more of a creative, more of a visual person. So I
Yeah.
really enjoyed designing the UI, and I literally took like 40 minutes trying to decide which image I wanted to be on my webpage, etc. So that was quite exciting for me.
Oh, that sounds so exciting, right? So just taking you back to the time before you started the boot camp, and maybe to the time where, um, you know, before getting into this program, right? So you were basically doing fashion design, and what was it that did you have any like experience? Because did you have any experience with like computers and like with maths, or like any previous experience getting into the boot camp?
No. So I did not do any IT or CAT or anything like that in high school. In fashion design, we did design, but it had nothing to do with coding. It was just designing, that's it. But yeah, previous experience with computers, not at all. Yeah,
And
I could
how does
paint.
it feel? Okay, how does it? So here's a question for you, right? How does it feel to go from not doing IT, not like being great at maths or whatever, to actually building Airbnb? How does it feel?
It feels amazing. It honestly feels amazing. I mean, when I show my family my work, everyone is quite surprised and they're like, "Oh, this is so cool. This is what you can really do. Wow." So, it's quite intriguing that we work with like computers every day, but you don't really know what happens in the background. So now actually having to be a part of that process is quite amazing.
Yeah, no, like I'm very excited for you, Sego. I think coming from a background where there was nothing to do with coding to actually building Airbnb, I'm so excited for what lies ahead for you. And I'm sure the process for like you're probably working towards the final project now, and I'm sure now is where it's going to be like quite a few sleepless nights and stuff. But I'm really excited for your journey. I think there's a lot of amazing things that are going to come your way. Are there any, like, what would you tell somebody, like if you had to talk to Tego like a year ago, right? If you had to like speak to yourself, what is that one piece of advice that you would give to yourself in terms of career?
In terms of career, I would say that it may seem quite difficult right now, but it doesn't mean it's impossible. Difficult doesn't equal impossible. For me, I would take that leap of faith. I would have taken that leap of faith earlier if I could. So yeah, it's better now than never. And yeah, as
Yeah.
Johan mentioned, it's better that you start now, and in 5
Yeah.
years' time you have that experience, than wait for 5 years and by that time you still don't have experience. So.
No, like I'm so inspired by you, Sego. It takes a lot of bravery, right? It takes a lot of guts to move from one field to another, and you're starting a whole new field with no experience. I think that is one of our biggest motivators in Zaio, right? We're on a mission to get 100,000 students into jobs, right? Within the next 5 years. So I think thank you so much for being part of our mission of our mission. Thank you so much for being part of Zaio. I'm really excited about the journey that lies ahead for you. And thank you so much for also joining this webinar, right?
Thank you so much, Akil. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Sweet. Cool. So I think now we can move on to, I just want to talk about, maybe we will take questions like shortly, right? But I want to just bring to everyone's attention something that is happening in the background at Zaio right now, right? Just since you guys are all here at the webinar, just a little bit of a sneak peek secret, right? So we are working on a new stream. When I say stream, it's like currently we're doing full stack web development. And from the interactions we've had with thousands of students, we're getting like about 5,000 applications for bootcamp. We basically saw that there is a demand and there is an ask for other streams. So basically, here's a question, and I want you guys to drop your answer in the chat, right? So would you prefer to actually learn data science, right? Or would you be interested in learning cybersecurity, right? So these are the things that we are working between right now in the background. Some work is happening. We will be launching a new bootcamp soon with a new stream. But let us know your thoughts in the comments, right? You can just drop a data science and maybe give us a reason, like if possible, for why you'd want to do data science, and cybersecurity, if you're interested in doing cybersecurity. So we're just going to take the transcript of all the comments, and we're going to look at all the comments that you guys actually post over here, right? So please, guys, let me see some comments coming in, right? Data science or cybersecurity? Let's see what comments that you guys are actually gonna post on that. So actually, if Johan is still around in the backstage, maybe we can have Johan come in for a minute.
Still here.
Yeah. Hey, Johan. So I know this is a question I pose to everyone, right? Data science and cybersecurity, but I'd love to hear your thoughts, man. Like, what do you think? If we're to launch a new program? Yeah.
It's a big question. Listen, Akil, I think what data science is. It's an industry that has blown out the water over the past, I would say, probably about 3, 4, 5 years. There's a huge demand for data science, definitely, and that's why I brought up Python. But make no mistake, I think cybersecurity, as everything else grows, its security concerns also grow, and there's a lot of potential in both industries. And personally, I find myself on the data science side. Okay, but I think on cybersecurity, there's there's this thing about, we like you're saying, 100,000 developers. Now, if you can imagine 100,000 developers within 5 years, you can imagine the amount of products built in 5 years' time. And all of those are going to require some form of security, and like pen testing, it goes deep, and both these subjects are really deep subjects. But I think, it's a tough decision to make. I personally vote data science, okay, from my side.
Yeah.
Fantastic opportunities in both the industries.
No, that sounds amazing. I hear you, man, and I think I resonate with what you're saying, right? Definitely, especially in at least in Africa, right? I feel like the amount of heat that is there on cybersecurity right now is a lot less than how much is there on data science, right?
Yeah.
In like with time, definitely there will be more demand for cybersecurity. I think it's a matter of time before people start discussing, discovering that, like, oh crap, like our we just got hacked, guys. We need to have, like, special measures in place, and like whenever you launch products, you need to have like specific measures that you perform for cybersecurity. But I think in the meantime, data science is something that I strongly resonate with as well, because also it's an array of job opportunities that you'll be exposed to. We're talking about data analyst, machine learning engineer, and right now AI is such a big thing. Like, people just say AI, like it's just a hype right now, actually. It's hype with reason. Like, it is fundamentally solving a lot of problems. And I think that, even in Zaio, we've implemented AI, and I'm sure daily productivity wise, like ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever you're using, Claude, is definitely changing how you go about working every day. So the opportunities are vast. I'm keen to see some comments. I'm just going to read out a few comments right now. So I can see that Rashid over here is saying cybersecurity, mainly pen testing, so penetration testing, right? Because I feel like it will go hand in hand with web development. That's a very fair point. That's what Johan mentioned, actually. Then I can see there's a big comment over here, data science. So Sibabalo basically says data science. It's more industry dominated right now with AI happening. Now it's really a future. It's really the future. It helps businesses with big numbers, as well as how to identify and target your market. I think that is a very interesting point that Sibabalo mentioned, right? One of the biggest things with data science is that, how people say data is the new gold, right? It's with data that we can actually make decisions. Right now, what we are even doing in this webinar is we're collecting data, right? Like, we're saying that, okay, data science, cybersecurity. We want to hear and get a sense of what people are thinking right now. Yeah, so just keep the comments coming in, guys. I'd love to see what else people have to say, right? Abigail is saying
to Sibabalo's comment there as well, is I think the world currently is struggling with what we call data redundancy. There's tons. I mean, there are literally terabytes, thousands, millions of terabytes of data just sitting there. And a lot of these companies, and I'm talking about the huge enterprise companies, they are siphoning through this data one way or another, and this is where data science really becomes interesting.
Definitely. I think that's one of the exciting things about this field, guys. Right now, a lot of our learners are doing full stack, but after full stack, if you feel like you've worked in an industry for a while and you're interested in branching off into something else, because you've learned problem solving, because you've learned how to create applications, it becomes very easy to migrate and pick up a new skill, right? Having said that, there is definitely a lot more problem solving that comes in data science. I'm sure there's different complexities, so yeah, I think thank you so much, Johan. I think that really helps, right? Well, let's see what more comments come and what more people what people say more, and hopefully we're making the right decision, and you guys are going to see us launch a new one soon. So let's see which one it's going to be.
I see Abigail also mentioned a comment here, data science, because I work in marketing. Very, very interesting topic, Abigail. I think when you look at marketing, and for instance, the likes of Facebook and LinkedIn and the huge social platforms, this is their bread and butter. Even Google, it's their bread and butter. So a very valid point there.
Yeah. So this is an interesting question I see from Farney as well, is like, can one have a jump ship career, DevOps, with an electrical engineering background, right? So very interesting question. I have bits and pieces of knowledge of front-end languages, right? Johan, what do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. Funny, I think, you know what, when it comes to DevOps, remember, DevOps never used to exist. DevOps was created for that communication between, you know, the front end guys and the back end guys, the server side and everything, you know. So DevOps is actually such a fundamental part of it. And I think if you're looking at electrical engineering, you know, you've got the background, and if you say you've got some bits and pieces of front end language, I don't necessarily think you're going to be hugely busy on front end looking at DevOps side, but you know, the operations of an entire structure. If you look at the product launch, I think you can still put that electrical engineering background into the works when you jump into DevOps, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's definitely a lot you can learn from with your experience in an electrical engineering. Again, problem solving, right? I'm sure you've gone through tons of sleepless nights with that electrical engineering degree, right? And I'm sure, you know, with that ability to problem solve, you can easily do DevOps. DevOps is, you know, like Johan said, it does serve as like some kind of connection, right? But at the same time, it makes operations for development a lot easier, right? You know, being able to have like a development environment, production environment, every time you push to a certain branch, an automatic deploy happens. Talking about scalability, so using something like AWS or maybe Azure for managing scalability, having load balancers. So there's a lot of interesting things that come into play there, right? It will definitely you will be able to pick it up pretty quickly given your background, right? So yeah, I think, guys, one of the things I can see, bootcamp application with Zaio, right? So guys, go ahead, apply for the upcoming bootcamp. You know, I definitely think that there's a lot of there are limited spots, you know, for the bootcamps. So definitely go ahead and apply. And we're trying our best to make it more accessible with our financing option as well. We're trying to smoothen those processes out. So definitely go ahead, apply at www.zaio.io. You can basically go to our landing page and you'll see an apply button at the top, and you can just apply for our bootcamps. Give it a go. You know, like Tego said, you know, it's like she never knew that she could do it. You know, and she took a leap of faith. And like Johan also mentioned, right? Like, better to start now than 5 years from now. Do not stall it, right? If you feel like there's something over here, you could do something, you know, go for it, right? That one decision, that one push that you give yourself can really change, like, you know, the landscape of your life. You know, it can completely change your life, right? So take that leap of faith. Go on www.zaio.io, apply for the bootcamp, and I'm sure we will see you on the inside. All right, so there's another question, very interesting one. Can you tell us more about the accreditation, right? So yes, we offer an MICT CETA NKF level 5 accreditation, right? How it works is once you go through the entire journey, you will become eligible to do the assessments. Like, you're gonna have to submit a portfolio of evidence, right? And once that is done, you will get like a certification, right? And pretty much this happens at the end of the journey, right? So that's how the accreditation works. What are the requirements? So Johan, do you want to take that? Any requirements?
Sorry, Akhil, to join the bootcamp.
Yeah,
you know
I think like learn to code. You know, join the bootcamp, learn to code. Yeah.
You know what? To learn to code, honestly, I think is the easy part. You know, I think learning to code, you can really start with the minimal as long as you have a computer, a functional computer, laptop, desktop, it doesn't matter. You can code. Okay, like I said, if you know how to copy and paste, you're already on the right track. The only other big requirement you have, which is probably the most important requirement that you have, is that dedication. Okay, you need to, like Akil also mentioned, you're going to run into problems, and you'll run into problems every day. Your dedication to solve and your persistence to solve that problem is going to be the key factor, which is going to make you get through whatever you're struggling with. Otherwise, everything else is pretty simple.
Just speaking of problems, right? I remembered one of the biggest problems that I faced, right? So on Zaio, if you guys go and check out that Netflix-like experience, right? So I actually built that front end, and one of the issues I experienced was making the like when the timestamp is going on, like you need the line to actually move as well, right? Um, so dude, I remember being stuck on that for like a whole. It was like I was stuck for the whole night on that issue, right? And the next morning, I think I had a coffee. I came into the office, and within like 5 minutes, I solved that problem. Uh, so sometimes
That's
it's
always
just dude. It's like you gotta just have a fresh mind, because sometimes you're in that zone where you're just like, man, I gotta fix this. I gotta fix this.
yeah, for sure.
Sometimes taking a step back, coming the next day, or maybe looking at a different problem, looking at it again with fresh set of
Yeah.
eyes, solves a lot of
Cup
things.
of coffee solves it sometimes.
Yeah. So Rashid is asking how does it work if you want to do the boot camp, but you also work, right? So I think I can just cover this one quickly. So you will be given a set of tasks to do every day, right? And if you complete the tasks on the day, that's great, right? And normally we're looking at tasks like watching videos, maybe doing a couple of challenges, maybe doing a couple of assignments. And then if you complete those tasks on that day, great. If not, you can also do it like the next day, right? If you miss live classes because you have work, maybe you have a commitment at work, we have 2 live classes a week for the first half of the boot camp. And if you miss it, there is recordings that you can access later, right? And if you want to ask questions about particular topics, maybe you want the tutor to go through something again for you, you can always book a live class, right? So we actually have quite a few students in our boot camps that are working, right? I'm not going to say it's easy, right? It does get hectic, right? Because you are managing like a boot camp as well as your current work. But I think that's what keeps things very exciting, being able to make it through this whole phase and keeping that end goal in mind, right? Like Johan said, persistence. Got to be persistent, right? So that is pretty much how you can manage the work. I'm not sure, Johan, if you have anything to add to that.
Akil, I think probably for most of my working career, I started off on that side as well. I had a full-time job. I was working as a sales rep back in the day. So my background actually comes from sales initially. And I slowly but surely progressed into web development. I initially started with C#, which was quite rough. And then I phased into the web development side, which was a lot easier. But yeah, it was time consuming. I speak from experience there. It's definitely time consuming if you're working a full-time job and you are studying. And a lot of my students as well, they do have full-time jobs, and you can see, obviously you don't always have that capacity, but they always end up catching up. That's why the live recordings are there, and they seem to catch up pretty fine. There's obviously the one or two that work really rough hours, who do fall behind a little bit, but other than that, I don't see that it should be a reason for you to not grow. It's going to be dedication, persistence, all comes down to that for you.
Yeah, and I think also the way we plan the task is actually Monday to Friday, right? So we do not have any tasks planned for the weekend. We want you guys to have the weekend to yourselves. But a lot of the times, especially people that are working, maybe they use a couple of hours on Saturday to actually catch up on any tasks that they have missed. And then during that Saturday period is when they realize their weak area. So, for example, if you're learning certain concepts, and you're unable to solve a problem, that's when you identify the problem that you're facing on Saturday, and then you can book a session with the tutor for the next week, right? So that's basically how things work, right? Guys, if you have any questions, now is the time. Please pop any questions that you might have. I think I see something from IG, words by Afari. I'm currently enrolled at university for chartered accountancy, but I'm interested in enrolling for the course. Any tips for someone with an already tight schedule, right? So like, I think that's exactly what we're talking about right now. And I think we might have already covered some of the things there, right? I think it's about committing to maybe a couple of hours every day, like have at least a base number of hours you want to commit per day, right? Maybe 2 to 3 hours a day, right? But you will require to use the weekend as well to catch up. A look, exams are going to come, right? If you're doing CA, basically there will be periods where you have exams. In those cases, definitely just inform our team and say that, look, I need some time, to actually prepare for my exams. And we are a very adaptive team. At the end of the day, we want to see you succeed, right? But also we care about mental health and psychosocial support, right? So we don't want to put you in a position where you're just like totally burning out and we're hounding you for submitting all your assignments. That's never going to be the case. Just inform us. I think communication is key, right? Just inform us if you're struggling with anything, and we will then be able to assist you, right? Another question. Hello to everyone. I just landed on this live. What time are the bootcamp classes taught, right? So I think before Johan, you jump onto this one, I think maybe I'll just explain how it's taught, right? So you will basically have a calendar, right? And you'll be able to perform tasks on a daily basis. So classes, there are lectures, like we've simulated like a live experience with challenges. We have code pushes. We have a lot of fancy tech features, which you will only realize when you go and when you actually start to code. You'll actually feel like, man, this is crazy, right? But there's those videos that you watch, right? Then there's the live classes where you actually interact with Johan and team, right? So Johan, maybe you can just talk about like the timings of the live classes.
Okay, so the morning live classes generally start from 9 in the morning until 11. Sometimes we do go a little bit over time, but that's the general time for the morning sessions. And then the evening sessions we do from 6 until 8. Okay, so that covers the morning and the evening classes. We don't do classes on Saturdays, but generally it ranges from during the week timeframes from Monday roughly to Friday. So
awesome. So there's 2 live classes per week. Any other questions that we have? Do you pay for the live sessions? No. So guys, there's no hidden costs. There's no like there's nothing extra. Like it's 25,500 for the bootcamp, or the installment plan 13K, or the financing plan, which is 500 rands a month. And then you get access to everything. You get access to your private Discord channel, the AI support, your tutors, everything, all the assistance that you need. Everything is going to happen there. There's no additional costs. From IG, Cizwe is basically asking, online classes or full-time physical class? Oh, great question, right? So basically, guys, these are all online, right? This whole bootcamp actually happens online. All the classes happen like online. It's live classes on Zoom, right? So everything is online. Any other questions? Which NQF requirement do you offer? We basically offer, we're MICT accredited, right? And you basically get the NQF level 5 qualification, right? So Rashid is saying 500 rands a month. So guys, that depends on the financing plan, that you do, right? Like which option you opt for. That is something that you will decide when you do the application for financing with Manati, right? The amounts vary, right? And the period also varies, right? So that is something that you'll figure out once you do the application, right? Words by Afari, in terms of flexibility, how many hours are required each day? So we're talking about maybe 3 to 4 hours a day. Sometimes you're stuck on a problem, you might require more time. Sometimes things happen smoothly, you take less time. Johan, what do you think?
exactly how you said. Now, I think at a minimum for yourself, you should do yourself the favor. Spend an hour to 2 hours a day learning. It's like speaking a different language. If you don't practice it, you're not going to be able to do it. So I would definitely recommend at least 1 to 2 hours, preferably. But if you can split it up and you can do half an hour, you split it up, half an hour now, half an hour later during the day. But try and keep at least 1 hour to 2 hours a day.
So how long is the boot camp? 6 months, guys. 6 months, and you will be job ready. So I can see Rashid is showing some excitement. 500 to 1,500 rands a month. If that's the case, I'm applying right now. Yes, please go apply. Go to www.zaio.io, and we are really excited to see you on the inside. I hope when I join the Discord group, I want to see questions from Rashid hopefully. So Rashid, go ahead and apply, and everyone else definitely go ahead and apply. Are there any questions? Any other questions that we need to take?
It's probably the biggest favor you could do yourself as well. It's like just growing with today's age. We're in that age where tech is it.
Absolutely. If I have idea on HTML and CSS, does it help in any way on my class starting? Right? Yeah, Gideon, definitely. It'll definitely help you. For some people, HTML and CSS just doesn't make sense. I think Asif, our backend guy, is one of those guys, right? Like he knows it, like he can do it, but then it's just like, bro, it's like, backend is a lot more interesting for him, right? But for some people, HTML, CSS comes like this. So for me, I love HTML and CSS. So it really depends, right? But yeah, any previous experience will help you learn things faster, right? So it'll definitely help to have any previous background. So from IG, we have another question from Lisego. What programming languages do you teach? Johan, do you want to take that one?
Okay, so from programming languages, we're just going to exclude, HTML and CSS out of there, but we go through JavaScript, which is the predominant language during the course. We also cover Python. Then there is some TypeScript as well that we cover in there. So you're going to learn 3 programming languages, and then you've got the hypertext markup language, which is HTML. Cascade style sheets, so you've got CSS in there as well. So that's pretty much all you need for a full stack developer.
Yeah. Cool. So guys, I think there might be more questions that you have, or maybe you're feeling shy to ask any questions in the chat right now. Our channels are always open for you. Please get on our website right now. We actually have a chat we've implemented there, so you can ask questions on the chat, or you can also book a Calendly consultation, where you'll have like a personalized consultant actually speak to you one-on-one, answer whatever questions you might have. It is a pretty big decision. It is a leap of faith that you're taking, like what Sego said. So I'm sure you might have questions. Feel free. You can ask questions here. You can ask questions on our Discord channel, or you can even book a consultation and directly speak to one of our consultants. I can see that. Okay, yeah, we'll just take this last question before we end it. I was actually reading it, right? So I'm on the self-paced course, and a few of my classmates from school, we've been struggling with media queries, since there isn't a course for media queries in the self-paced. So we are asking if it will be added. All right. Okay, so media queries is actually pretty much to just help with mobile optimization, right? It should be there on self-paced. Like I think when you're building the Netflix application, there is a section for media queries there. So when you're building the Netflix app, and then also I think when you build
TikTok has a little bit of it. The tic-tac-toe, that's got a little bit of it in.
Yeah, the tic-tac-toe also has some media queries there. I think the Tesla course also has some basic media queries. So yeah, there are media queries in the courses, guys. So please feel free to check that out, and please go ahead, book a consultation. If you have any questions, we're here to help. And that's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much. This has gone a bit over time, I can see. Thank you so much, Johan, for joining. It's been such a pleasure, and thank you so much, Sego. Like I'm really excited for your journey, and hopefully we can also keep in touch after this call. So all the best for your journey, and all the best to everybody who's joined the webinar. Take that leap of faith, join Zaio, help us on our mission, and transform your lives, hopefully. All right.
Just you guys there.
Bye.
Thank you. Good luck, everyone. Bye.
Good luck. Bye-bye.